Tonight, we're celebrating the iconic career of Barbara Ciara as she begins a journey away from the anchor desk and 40 plus years as a journalist. What can you really say about the woman who helped shape Hampton Roads and really journalism? Well, you simply say, thanks for the company. Over the next hour, we're celebrating her monumental moments, achievements, plus we're showing you part of her life many of you didn't even know about. We begin with the last 42 years right here in the 757.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, Wayne.
When Barbara Ciara first arrived in Hampton Roads 42 years ago,
It's the news business. It's always exciting.
she thought this place might be just a footnote in the grand tale of her TV news career.
I said when I got here in 1981, I was going to be here for maybe 2-3 years max, and off I would go.
Of course, we know how this story ends, but the pages in between, oh, what an adventure. Barbara recalls her first chapter. Reporting at Channel 13 was brief.
I left because the general manager told me flat out that this area was not ready for a primetime black anchor.
So in 1983,
Good evening, everyone. I'm Barbara Ciara.
she took a job anchoring the weekend news at Channel 10.
She's a true journalist. She's an absolute true journalist.
Alveda Ewell, Barbara's competitor at the time, also a lifelong friend.
Everybody trusts Barb because she's trustworthy. It's not fake. You know what I mean? It's totally real. It's genuine.
First book I remember was A Cat in the Hat. It helped me develop my sense of humor.
Barbara spent 6 years at Channel 10, but then in 1989,
WBEZ-TV presents Barbara Ciara.
a job her old bosses said she'd never get became hers.
That's when things started to change or shift a little bit in this market.
Barbara's reporting during the 1990s took viewers closer to big stories all around the world.
Smiles don't come easy to the youngsters here. It's a tough life walking in their shoes.
From the horrors of poverty in Haiti to the Middle East during the first Iraq War.
I wanted to go where our local troops were, where our local sailors were, to cover it and tell their stories so that we can reassure the people at home.
She would spend about a decade at 13, but at the turn of the century, Barbara Ciara changed channels for the last time, thanks in part to another Barbara.
So, what would you think about coming over to 3? And she was like, really? You know, no, I can't do that. That means I have worked at all 3 stations in the market. And
Barbara Ham-Lee was in management at Channel 3 back then and was able to seal the deal to steal her away. There was a ton of hype leading up to her debut. I mean, watch this.
Barbara's right. Barbara's left. Barbara's back. Hampton Roads' most popular television personality is back on the air.
July 2001, Barbara anchored her first newscast on Channel 3. And then, just weeks later,
There has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center.
We told all the local stories because there were so many people attached to the military who were so worried, and they were just grief-stricken because they knew that there were casualties.
in the months after the 9/11 attacks, Barbara would travel overseas with locally based sailors, once again bringing the world home to Hampton Roads, just like she always has. 42 years, countless memories, and so many lives touched.
You pick up amazing friends who are in the industry with you, you know, and there's so many of us who just cherish and adore her.
she is a part of the fabric of Hampton Roads. And you can't deny that, and we're lucky.
Yes, we are the lucky ones. But if you ask Barbara, as she begins to close the book on her TV news career, it is her heart that is filled with gratitude. No doubt you could have gone anywhere you wanted to go.
I had a couple of offers that I can say I coulda, but didn't, and I have no regrets. Yes, there was something about this place, this special place.
I'm Blaine Stewart, News 3.
That's the Barbara so many of you grew up with. The one you see here on the air, but how did she get here? Many don't know that she was once homeless and a teenage mother. Jessica Larche shares how Barbara beat the odds to become an icon.
Do you remember this little
Oh
girl?
my goodness gracious. 6 years old, and I could almost smell my penny loafers.
Barbara Ciara was born in Pittsburgh on July 27, 1956, to Robert and Georgia Jones. They divorced when Barbara was a little girl, but their love for her remained intact.
You miss them though.
Yes.
They are both gone.
Yes.
Do you feel like you've made them proud?
I know I made them proud.
The pride her parents came to feel throughout her award-winning career followed devastating disappointment decades earlier when Barbara, at 13 years old, had a baby with her teenage love.
Pretty much people signed you off and said, your life is over, you're never going to amount to anything, and I heard those words.
Her mother's disappointment cut the deepest.
Her disappointment was just so great that I could feel it every day. So I ran away.
How old were you when you ran away, Barbara?
14.
You were 14.
I was 14.
Once Barbara ensured her son was safe at her mother's home, she escaped her reality to chase a dream.
I had been singing with the neighborhood band, and they decided one summer to go up to New York. I was homeless for a while on the streets. I remember one specific memory of sleeping on the fire escape of the Apollo Theater, and because I wanted to be close to music. I'd been gone so long, for 2 years, that my father, if they found a woman or a young woman, he would go and see if it was me at the morgue.
Barbara returned home at 16, but not without proof she could still become someone her parents would be proud of.
Once I got that GED, to me it was validation that I was going to be worth something, in this world. So I remember that call, because my father broke down and he said, I thought you were dead. But he was so joyful that I was calling to say, not only was I alive, but I was thriving.
And after the reunion, Barbara remembered her time years before as a middle school newspaper writer. That was it. She would become a journalist.
I started applying for journalism scholarships. They gave me a scholarship in Arizona, and off I went.
Barbara had only been in college in Arizona 2 years when a Tucson television station gave her a full-time shot. She was 19.
I bugged the people in the news department so many times, they finally said, okay, we'll give you a shot.
And just a few years later at that same station,
at 23, I was the youngest female and first African American to become news director of a commercial television station in the Southwest.
Gosh, when I look back, and I get emotional about this.
Legendary Tucson reporter Lupita Murillo and Barbara bonded as young reporters and never looked back. She remembers when Barbara left Tucson in 1981 for an opportunity in Hampton Roads.
I begged her not to go. I said, no, Barbara, you don't want to go. You don't want to go. And she said, Petey, I have to. I have to. And that was the best thing that she ever did.
Witnesses at the scene say that
the rest is history.
Who was the victim of
the Navy ship of the future. Communication.
It's a story Barbara's son, Robert, her only child, has seen unfold before his eyes.
Are you proud of her?
Trying to get me to choke up. Proud is almost too weak to define. You were gonna do that. Just been that rock. So there's so many things I'm proud of.
Roberts made Barbara a proud mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother.
She is the epitome of what a strong Black woman is. And she instilled that in all of us, her grandchildren. She definitely, in my book, is my shero. She's everything. She is everything to me.
Yet she still sees herself as the little girl, the daughter, determined to make her parents proud.
Yes, I heard the words, "We are so proud of you."
In Norfolk, Jessica Larche, News 3.
Such an incredible journey. And Barbara's impact goes beyond the big stories that she's been a part of. We'll look at her involvement right here in our community, the way she's made Hampton Roads a better place, and the lives she's helped along the way. And a little later, we're hearing from some familiar faces. I sat down with some of her former co-anchors to hear their take on the role Barbara played in their careers and lives.
We'd like to thank Barbara Ciara for her service and dedication to the Hampton Roads area and to the Proton Center in particular. It has really been my pleasure to have known her for a couple of decades. Professionally, she is the best. Her adherence to the First Amendment, to the Constitution of the United States, as it relates to freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and other kinds of freedom, makes her one of the best professionals that I've ever known. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I say is that I wish that more journalists would have that kind of adherence. So professionally, she's the best. Personally, she's also the best. You know, the fact is that she is a person of high character. And to me, character means truth and trust, integrity, respect for oneself, respect for others, and personal behavior, good personal behavior. And Barbara has exercised that ever since I have known her. But one of the things that's personal, my wife and I talked to Barbara about going back to school. And we were talking to her on several occasions, and she finally said to us one time, my wife's name is Norma, she said, Norma, I want to tell you, I'm going to go back to Hampton University. And she did, and she graduated from Hampton University. So that's a kind of a personal privilege. So the next phase of Barbara's life, I am just as sure as the last phase, she will do excellently. She will continue to be a terrific individual, and I will continue to look upon her as a true professional and a true friend. Thank you, Barbara.
Barbara, you have shown what dedication, excellence, and passion look like. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. 50 years in journalism filled with amazing accomplishments, from interviewing presidents to reporting from war zones. I so admire your dedication to giving a voice to the voiceless and your leadership as the past president of the National Association of Black Journalists. You've made a difference in all of our lives. I wish you the best in your next adventure. May you always follow your curiosity wherever it takes you, and thank you for inspiring me to do the same.
Barbara, from all of us here at CBS Mornings, we'd just like to say congratulations on a long, fantastic, and impressive career.
I'll say, because you've interviewed everybody from presidents to Oprah. How'd that go? Reported from the front lines and refugee camps, even served as a president of the National Association of Black Journalists.
Your legacy is left behind. Again, we'd like to say thank you for your contributions. Now enjoy the next chapter of your life because you deserve it.
As we celebrate the career of Barbara Ciara, we must acknowledge the impact that she's had off the anchor desk. Being part of this community, from helping St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to her work with the American Diabetes Association, and also serving the community with the nonprofit 4Kids organization and serving on the Virginia Aquarium Board.
I call her the queen of local media, Royal Highness of broadcast.
What does it mean having a voice like Barbara on the Aquarium Board?
So Barbara inspires all of us. So when she comes to a meeting, she has that inspirational voice.
I'll be honest, I was a little scared of her.
We all are.
We knew that, you know, she's a badass. I don't think I can say that.
When you worked with her at St. Jude, what was that experience like?
You walk into a room with Barbara and she's like, let's get this party started.
How did you come to work with her with the American Diabetes Association?
As soon as she heard that I was diagnosed, she reached out to me, very Barbara, just a phone call right away to say, "Hun, I've heard that you have diabetes and you need to be with the people that I've been working with for all these years."
We have a soft spot in our heart for her, really, because when my father, who was a big supporter of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, when he asked for her help, she said, "Yes, Uncle Pete." Not only yes, but heck yes.
We're going to give away a brand new home.
What do you think she meant to St. Jude?
Gosh, I can't even imagine how much money she raised for that hospital. Her talking it up and being there and shining a light on how important it is to help children live. You can't even put a number on what she did for the kids of St. Jude.
It's that connectivity to the community. So she's talking about how important it is to support things here at home.
Barbara's been a board member here at the aquarium for 5 years. She's always sharing that with viewers. She's here advocating for the aquarium, advocating for our environment.
Issues related to poverty and homelessness and low-income children, they are typically very voiceless. And unless you have somebody in the media that is prepared to take a fresh look and elevate the truth and the authenticity of stories that are just hard to tell, you can't change these stereotypes. It makes a difference having somebody like Barbara in the ring with you.
What did you see in Barbara in working with her on the American Diabetes Board?
She wasn't afraid to express, the pain she'd been through with her family experience with diabetes. And I think that's incredibly helpful for people.
You also worked with her with the American Diabetes Association.
Yes, yes. I think it was her father that suffered from that disease. And so when she develops a passion for something, she goes all in.
Barbara's unique because she's one of the few who's been able to take experiences in her life and share them with others openly so that they can have an improved life. And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Her passion for helping other people is contagious.
And what a legacy that she's been able to leave. I mean, all the impacts she's had on not just nonprofits, but the world, the stories that she brings back to the Hampton Roads community.
Barbara, we love you and thank you for the company.
Such an amazing impact. We're also celebrating her more than 40 years on the air here in Hampton Roads. Up next, Blaine Stewart looks back at some of Barbara's big stories.
To fully tell the story of Barbara Ciara, the journalist, you have to look at the stories she's told over her more than 40 years on Hampton Roads television.
She not only was on TV every night, but she literally was in the community.
Just ask her friends.
She's a true journalist. She's an absolute true journalist.
And former colleagues.
I'm not afraid of any reporter on planet Earth, but if I ever had to go up against Barbara Ciara, I'd be nervous.
And they'll tell you Barbara is a force.
I tried to be the first in line for everything.
When we sat down to talk, Barbara recalled standing up to one of her bosses early on in her career.
I'd gotten a scoop about a judge who had been arrested for trying to solicit a prostitute, and he did not believe in my sources, and the newspaper beat us the next morning, and I stood on my hind legs and said, I hope you don't miss another opportunity to get a scoop again.
That drive is part of what makes Barbara so special. She's a trusted voice behind the anchor desk, but she may be at her best when she tells your stories. Reporting from down the street.
There were several visits to Haiti.
And all around the world.
As Norfolk-based Marines conduct security patrol in Port-au-Prince, their focus is the mission. But they find the poverty impossible to ignore.
When the military hit the beaches of Haiti following an uprising, Barbara traveled there too, bringing the stories of locally based troops and their mission of mercy home.
Their hands are reaching out for more than just a toy. They're reaching out for affection. They're reaching out for something they can call their own.
We met a little boy who supported his family by having a shoe shine kit. And he would offer to shine shoes. And we saw him one day and he was very happy and he was doing his thing, and the next time we saw him, he was bloodied and beaten because someone stole his little shoe shine kit. And that is when I just kind of felt like someone had pulled the earth from beneath me, because I felt like so many of us feel like we're having a bad day. We don't understand our privilege.
If a major story with ties to Tidewater broke anywhere, it's a good bet Barbara was there too. From Saudi Arabia and Bahrain during the first Iraq War in 1990 to perhaps one of the biggest stories of her career about a decade later, in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. Barbara once again traveled with locally based sailors, reporting on the U.S. air assault against the Taliban in Afghanistan.
We also had the privilege of bringing a flag that had been in New York to the crew, and the tears and the tears they shed, knowing that that was their mission, but that flag had been so close to ground zero, is something I don't think I'll ever forget.
Yes, Barbara has traveled the world, interviewed presidents even, but she is most proud of her work that gave a voice to the voiceless in Hampton Roads.
This was the beginning of the end for Troy Webb. Homecoming Day, the start of a new life with family and friends after ending nearly a decade of life behind bars for a crime he did not commit.
Barbara was awarded the Capital Regional Emmy for her series of reports called Guilty Till Proven Innocent. She also spent time in some of Norfolk's most crime-plagued communities, giving terrified children a voice in her Emmy-nominated Letters from the Hood stories.
Playtime is a race against the clock in the hood. With darkness comes danger.
Barbara was awarded an Emmy for her documentary on the New Canaan experiment, on the 50th anniversary of a revolutionary teaching experiment that brought races together in the classroom at a time when that was not the norm. Whether it's breaking news, award-winning documentaries, or a big story happening around the globe, Barbara has always been there. And Hampton Roads is oh so fortunate to have been along for the ride.
I think that ascending to the anchor desk maybe gives you the opportunity to cover the big story, and that's the way I always looked at it.
When you've been on television for 40 plus years, you've seen a lot and had a lot of looks. Up next, we are talking hair. Yes, something so many of you have talked about over the past 40 years. Patrick Rocky sits down with her for a look at the evolution of her signature looks.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bobby Scott. Barbara, congratulations on your retirement. Your storied and decades-long career in journalism has spanned the globe, but the Hampton Roads community was fortunate enough to claim you as one of our own for all these years. Wishing you all the best in the next chapter of your life, and I hope you enjoy all the new adventures that you have ahead of you.
Barbara, I am so excited for you. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for everything that you've poured into me, for all the advice you've given, and just always being there and always being so supportive and so helpful. Thank you for everything you've done for the journalists of this community. Going to miss you terribly, and I just want to take this opportunity to say thanks for the company.
When I started working with you about, 17 years ago, I had hair. I may have lost that along the way, but I've gained so much more from you, having you as a colleague and more importantly as a friend. I'm going to miss your leadership, your strong voice in our newsroom, your witty quips back and forth over our desk dividers, and your candy bowl too. You always tell us, Mama loves you. Well, Barbara, we love you. And thanks for the company.
Hey, Barbara, Joe Flanagan here. 40 years I've known you, and I barely have 40 seconds to wish you a happy retirement. Well, if those 40 years were a horse race, you, my dear, would have won a triple crown. Wavy TV 10, 13 News Now, and WTKR TV 3, nobody did it better. And congratulations. And now you've saved the best for last. Congratulations on your marriage. Great news. I'll leave you with thanks for the company.
We've talked about Barbara's reporting on important stories, the many awards she's won over 50 years in TV news, and the world-class journalist Barbara has mentored. But now we turn to a really important topic, Barbara's hair.
The variety of hairdos that I've had over the years.
You don't spend decades in front of the camera like Barbara has without changing up your look every now and then. Here's a look back at some of those iconic looks, decade by decade.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
What went into this? What were you thinking?
What went into that? The 80s. The 80s, they were calling. They
you know who else had that same hairdo?
Who?
Morris Day.
Morris Day. Yeah. I was in good company. That was consultant hair and makeup. A consultant will come in during the course of your career, and this one takes you back to the mid or early 90s, and they want you to let your hair fall about here. They want a side part and a little bit of fluff to give it that little air of femininity.
When I saw that one, it made me think of that scene from Steel Magnolias.
You can't screw up her hair. You just tease it and make it look like a brown football helmet.
And that's what it looks like, a brown football helmet all teased up. And that's exactly how we were asked to wear our hair. The flippy-do. Now, there are different versions of the flippy-do that I had. That is almost the ultimate flippy. I went from subtle flippy to major flippy.
Now, here is the major flippy. Now, that one could also, little known fact, this one could also be seen on channels 2 and 4.
Yes, it could, because it had a wide girth. And we want to fill up the space when we're on the screen. That's the goal. Accomplished. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that necklace, I think I bought that at a small little boutique. And then, of course, I brought in the glasses because when I started needing glasses, they also had to make a fashion statement, right?
And they did. And this is kind of the evolving to where you are now with your hair, too.
Yeah, kind of like putting out that natural look, but then it just got bigger because the bigger the hair, the closer to God.
You are very close to Barbara won't be on our television screens every day anymore, but no doubt her look will continue to evolve. With the help of artificial intelligence, we gave Barbara a few ideas for some future hairstyles. You can catch that part of our conversation right now on WTKR.com.
A lot of fun seeing all those different looks that Barbara had over the years. But in all seriousness, Barbara is a leader and the face for journalists of color. Up next, we dive into how she fought to keep doors open for other journalists throughout her career.
Yo, sis, congratulations. I am so very proud of you. You are a witness to God's amazing grace, what can happen when you put the work in, when you treat people right, when you live right. I'm so very proud of you. Congratulations, Barbara Ciara. And sis, thanks for the company.
Barbara, congratulations on your next journey. I will not say retirement because I just can't see you retiring. I hope that you run for a political office at the state level, local level, federal level. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service to NABJ and to your community and to the world. Thank you so much for the company.
And we say, congratulations, Barbara Ciara. We love you.
You know, Barbara, I'm really going to miss your leadership at WTKR, but I'm also going to miss the way you were able to handle Kurt Williams like no one else can. I wish you nothing but the best. Thanks for the company.
Barbara, it's been a pleasure to work alongside you at News 3. Thank you for your counsel and all you do for our team. We know we can't fill your shoes, but we'll do our very best to make you proud. Thanks for the company.
Barbara, you embraced me from the moment you met me as a college student in 2007. You're the reason WTKR was interested in hiring me years later in 2010. Thank you for paving the way for Black investigative journalists with your life-changing reports. Thank you for supporting me and cheering me on as I step into the role you have filled with honor and grace. Thank you, Barbara, for the company.
Well, tonight we are celebrating the career of an icon. Barbara Ciara has been on our television screens in Hampton Roads for more than 40 years, but she's been a force for journalists of color nationwide, too. Jessica Larche reveals how Barbara's advocacy has helped shape the face of journalism.
If the country ever needed the unique perspective and expertise of journalists of color, it's right now.
Barbara Ciara's bold battle cry as president of the National Association of Black Journalists from 2007 to 2009 and Unity Journalists of Color for a year after that.
The fire is still burning.
Started years before when she blazed a trail for black journalists in newsrooms across Hampton Roads.
She was definitely a champion for everyone in the newsroom, especially African American women.
I had someone I knew was in my corner.
It was the simplicity of saying we need to be front and center on the big stories as well.
Most importantly, we want people to be informed.
Barbara first led the fight for diversity as a leader of the Hampton Roads Black Media Professionals, or HRBMP.
We fought for greater inclusion.
Arthur Fennell and Barbara were colleagues at Wavy in the 80s and banded together through HRBMP to break barriers. With the Echoes of Excellence and Excel Awards, HRBMP put positive stories about the Black community in the spotlight.
We fought to make sure that our stories were being told.
And behind the scenes, Art Franklin recalls Barbara's wise counsel at Wavy to ensure he got paid his worth.
Came back and offered me the salary that I thought I deserved at the time because of Barbara Ciara.
On a mission to back more black journalists, Barbara set her sights on the NABJ presidency.
At those conferences, Barbara had rock star status.
Barbara's friend and former colleague Dolores Teklu ran her hard-fought campaign for NABJ president at the Las Vegas convention in 2007.
She fought for doors to be open. She fought for access to jobs, access to training, access for opportunities to cover stories, access to scholarships and fellowships.
When I met you the first time, you were campaigning in Las Vegas.
That's right. It caught fire with me. This is an amazing opportunity to be on a national stage and lobby for journalism and journalists of color.
I find it interesting that this question.
Barbara became the face in the fight for journalists of color.
She was amazing and so diplomatic, yet stern.
Kathy Times was at Barbara's side as NABJ vice president and helped lead a diversity census of newsrooms nationwide. They confronted news executives when their organizations didn't meet the mark.
Barbara could rip you in half, but in such a nice way.
When she lowers her eyes over her glasses, look out, because you know that she means business. We are a more diverse and equitable and inclusive newsroom. It's because of the work that she has done.
If you have a complaint and nobody's fixing it, we'll get in there and fix it.
Barbara even confronted CBS News executives when they failed to promote her former colleague, Byron Pitts.
Anyone who's ever said more than hello to me in journalism knows it was always my dream to get to 60 Minutes. And she said, young brother, you got it. You got what it takes. Stay the course. That dream came true, but would not have come true without the advocacy of Barbara Ciara and her powerful position as president of NABJ.
And that led to Byron's role today as co-anchor of ABC News Nightline.
She's one of my real heroes. She's one of the people that inspires me.
An inspiration, an advocate, a force.
You know that, there's somebody there that has your back.
It makes a difference when you've got somebody not only cheering you from the sidelines, but also in the game and in the fight with you.
Barbara has always stepped into the fray.
Journalists are always asking other people to step up, and we also have to step up for ourselves.
Thank you, Barbara, for stepping up for all of us. In Norfolk, Jessica Larche, News 3.
When you've been on the air for 42 years at Hampton Roads, you've had the opportunity to sit side by side with many co-anchors.
Well, coming up on 13 News.
In our business, we call them TV spouses, and Barbara's had several, from Terry Zahn to Jim Kincaid. There was Mike Lewis and Les Smith, to name a few. Tonight, we hear from a handful of Barbara's former co-anchors who want to thank Barbara for the company.
Barbara, congratulations on an exceptional career.
I don't think any of us could imagine a time that we would turn on Channel 3 and not see Barbara sitting at the news desk.
Barbara, I really miss you.
What do you want to say about Barbara?
Oh my God, Barbara, first of all, is a mentor.
How you have deserved this.
She's an inspiration.
You have earned this. I am so happy for you. Congratulations.
She's the kind of friend that everybody wants to have. And I think that the viewers have been so fortunate to have her as their friend for all of these years.
You are one of the most gracious, supportive, and caring people that I know. It was an honor to share the anchor desk with you every day.
What you've done in mentoring and supporting young journalists with your leadership, not only in Hampton Roads, but across the country.
I think about the first time I met Barbara. I was an intern. I walked right up to her and I told her, it's so wonderful to meet you. I have been watching you since I was in kindergarten. And she said, and I'd be okay if you never said that again.
It's funny, but I worked with Barbara at all 3 stations.
So you interned with her
At Wavy,
Wavy
when she was the weekend anchor.
with Les Smith. And then at 13, you worked with her again?
Yeah, it was my first job out of college. I was a tape editor, and she was an anchor then. And then I got to sit next to her on the anchor desk. And I always knew that when I was sitting next to Barbara, everything was going to be okay. We were going to have laughter.
Because you never know what's going to come out of her mouth.
So true. Barbara will say anything. We did this show, a 4 o'clock show that was kind of a girl show. It was like me and Layla and Barbara.
They would give us opportunities to ad-lib on stories of the day. It was the most fun that I think I've ever had on any show that was debuted here.
But you know, Barbara just has a way of, I think she can say things that not everybody can say.
There was a phone that would sit under the news desk for producers to call us if they needed to get in touch with us. For some reason, that phone was ringing and ringing and ringing, and Barbara had had enough, and she picked up the phone and she said, "Who is this?" And this was all live on air.
The viewer probably wants to know who your favorite TV husband is.
Interesting that you would ask that question, right? But I would have to say that each experience was unique and different and wonderful.
By the way, she's running for office, as we can tell.
You were always the brother I never wanted. The brother I never had, that's what I was supposed to say.
No, I think you speak the truth.
Well, it was back in 1987 when I met you, and you looked like you still had milk on your breath, so I started calling you Baby Anchor. Of course, it was a compliment about your youth.
So I'm showing up out in the field on a story,
Right.
and you're saying, hey, here comes the baby anchor.
I did, and
that,
I
of
thought,
course, was the compliment.
I thought it was uplifting.
Every day she would say, let's go
Put some lipstick on this pig, because you never know how ugly the production's going to be.
And I had never heard that expression before Barbara said it. And it was the idea of taking this show, whatever state that it's in, and let's just make it look great.
And then before the start of a newscast,
let the cartoon begin.
Where does that come from?
Pee-wee's Playhouse, but I borrowed it because I know that you need to bring some levity before the broadcast.
And that was Barbara, though, because she has a light heart, but she's obviously, like, you know, the most iconic journalist in this town.
Can I congratulate you enough? Enjoy every minute of this because you definitely deserve it.
I love you, Barbara. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being my sister and my friend, and thanks for the company.
Barbara, thank you for the company.
Thank you for the company.
Thank you for the company.
Barbara's impact is not just here in Hampton Roads. Up next, we will show you how her mentoring has shaped some of the most powerful and prominent voices in the broadcast community.
Hi, Barbara. Congratulations on an incredible broadcast career and all of the exciting things yet to come. It was an honor to sit beside you on the anchor desk, and my fondest TV memories will include all of the laughter that we shared. Your impact here on Hampton Roads is going to be felt for years to come, and I hope this next chapter is your best one yet. And Barbara, thanks for the company.
Hey Barbara, congratulations on a remarkable 50-year career as a journalist. I'm so blessed to have worked with you there at WTKR in Hampton Roads for several years. I'm so honored to call you a friend. Again, congratulations, get your rest, and happy retirement.
Barbara, I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate you on your recent retirement. The citizens of Hampton Roads are certainly going to miss your nightly broadcast. And on a personal note, I'm going to miss you as well. You've been there for me through my trials and tribulations as a police officer, as well as a police chief. I love you. Bye-bye.
Queen Barbara, I salute you for who you are and all you have done. Thank you so much for the example you've set, the mentorship you've provided, the many battles you've so bravely taken on along the way, and of course for the belly laughs as well from time to time. You are simply the best, and I pray that somehow the next chapter of your life is better than all the rest. Love you.
Throughout Barbara Ciara's award-winning career, she's mentored journalists who've been some of the most powerful people in the news industry. And that includes Rashida Jones, the president of MSNBC, who got her start right here at WTKR. As Rashida tells our Jessica Larche, Barbara's guidance paved the way.
She smiles so brightly when she talks about you. What does Barbara mean to you?
Gosh, Barbara means everything to me. I met Barbara when I was 17 years old, and she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time.
Barbara Ciara and Rashida Jones crossed paths as classmates at Hampton University in the late 90s.
My, how times have changed.
Barbara was already an award-winning journalist, but she enrolled at HU to complete her undergraduate degree, a journey she paused decades earlier in Arizona when she accepted a job as a reporter in Tucson. Barbara's unfinished business included a class with Rashida.
So she and I had the same English class. I was a 17-year-old freshman at Hampton University. Barbara was the premier anchor on the local news, and as a journalism major, I thought this was just the greatest gift. And then a few years later, she went from being a classmate to my professor in one of my journalism classes as she was teaching at the university in addition to her duties. And so there she was able to open doors for me into newsrooms, including WTKR, which is where I got my first job. But she would find those windows in between shows, in between research, in between all of the projects that she was doing, to sit with a little college student who wanted to grow up and do big things and really help me hone my craft.
I just saw a huge ball of fire on top.
And when 9/11 devastated our country, Rashida was prepared to help lead News 3's coverage as a young producer still in college because of Barbara's mentorship and guidance.
We would work all day. We would sleep in an edit booth, that first edit booth up beside the assignment desk. And I think for me, it was the turn from this being a job to it being a career and a calling. And that's because of the time I was at WTKR.
And from here, over the years, Rashida climbed her way all the way to the top of a cable news network.
Does Rashida Jones ascend to the role of president of MSNBC without a Barbara Ciara?
Absolutely not. There is no way a Rashida Jones exists if a Barbara Ciara doesn't exist. Barbara has been there every step of the way in my career, from my first job as an executive producer to now my role as president of a cable news network. There are times across every point of my career where I've had to lean on her for her guidance, her support, and I would say most importantly, her love. Barbara, you have always been an inspiration, an encouragement, a North Star, and most importantly, a friend. I'm so happy to celebrate your legacy in this industry, and I know you have so many more exciting things to do. I am overwhelmingly humbled to say to you, thanks for the company.
After decades on our TV screens, Barbara has inspired people in ways that she doesn't even know. Cassandra Latney, who's originally from Virginia Beach, is one of the people Barbara inspired. Cassandra comes from a family whose first names all begin with the letter C. So when she gave birth to her first child, she decided to name her daughter Ciara after her favorite TV news anchor.
It wasn't just the name alone. Just let me share that. It was really being somebody that looked like me, that talked like me, that walked in spaces that I walked in. Definitely been an influence in my life, and is honored to be able to say that to her today. And congratulations, Barbara.
Barbara's had such an iconic career. The impact, immeasurable. The stories, impactful. So we asked her, what would she say to her younger self? Well, she steps back into the studio with her heartfelt message next.
Barbara Ciara, from your journalism family here at Wavy News 10 Today, we say to you, congratulations on your retirement.
Congratulations, Barbara, from 13 News Now. Thanks for the company.
Barbara, from your family here at News 3, the place you have called home longer than any other station in Hampton Roads, we thank you for your leadership. We thank you for your coverage of the biggest stories in our community. We thank you for your guidance, your love, and most of all,
thank you for the company.
It's been an honor celebrating our very own Barbara Ciara's legendary life and career, from her humble beginnings as a teen mom in Pittsburgh to an award-winning journalist covering some of the world's biggest stories. Barbara, we thank you for leaving your mark on this place we call home. And we now invite Barbara to the studio to share a letter to her younger self and her love for Hampton Roads.
Hello, Barbara. I'm talking to that feisty, intellectual, know-it-all 12-year-old. You watch the evening news religiously. The peace protests, the space launches, and civil rights demonstrations. You always yearn to be a part of a shining light on issues that give a voice to the people. At this age, you are wondering where life's journey will take you. We'll get to that. First, I would like to say I'm proud of your fearlessness, which conceals an inner doubt that you won't attain your goals. You had every reason to have doubts. There will be so many obstacles for kids like you in the projects. Embrace your tenacity. It will serve you well when others express doubts about your worth. You will need that in the years ahead. As a teen mom, some family members openly gave up on you. Initially, you'll be shattered by their disappointment, only to emerge stronger and more determined. You will finish high school at 16, win a journalism scholarship, and move across the country to Arizona. There you will often run out of money and hope, only to be lifted by your dad, who always believed in you. Your first TV job will bring you face to face with sexism and racism. You will be told that news coming from a woman's mouth sounds like gossip. Not to worry, you will be undeterred and later become the boss of the man who said that. At the age of 23, you will be the youngest female and first African American to become a news director in the Southwest. That career high will be short-lived. The station will lay off most of your news staff, and that will propel you to make a choice to leave the Arizona friends who are now your family. You will accept a reporter anchor job back east in a place called Norfolk. You will feel uneasy leaving the life that you built in Tucson. But despite your concerns about the Tidewater region, it will become your home. Also home to your son and your future grandchildren. Over the decades, your career will be rich and rewarding as you cover stories that matter in the community. You will interview presidents, candidates, celebrities, and your reporting will also take you across the globe covering world conflicts. You'll have the satisfaction of righting a few wrongs along the way through your investigative reporting. Mostly, you will enjoy telling the stories of the people. You vowed to stay in broadcast journalism if you are making a difference, and today you still are. And you will come to a place in time where you press the stopwatch of your career, only to restart it for a wonderful new beginning. Next assignment, self-fulfillment. Don't worry, Barbara. It's not the end. It's the beginning. And I've got a feeling that the best is yet to come.